these guys, that used to play in Boston, putting up numbers. And Banton, what does he do? 30 points. Granted, he did it on, like I said, I tweeted it. It was 30 points on 10 of 27 shooting. It was a Thanasis Manning line.
Hey, that's what you do. You get on a team like that. The shots are there. You got to take them. Tonight he should have taken more. He only took 6.
But that wasn't. He got forced into starting for some injuries, and he had a stretch where he was putting up some decent numbers. Which again, it's for Portland, which means no one on Portland could start for the Celtics. So, like, if you're starting there, you're still the 11th best guy on Boston.
But the potential is there, John. That's what it is.
But the question people were asking, and I'm asking you guys, I'm not saying it, I'm just throwing it out there. Do you feel, I know Sherrod's going to feel this way with Stevens, you're still looking for, that stay ready guy. I guess you settled on Brissett, but like, do you feel those guys got a fair shake when they were here? That they ever, got a good enough look to make a determination? Because you brought in guys who had played legit NBA minutes other places, some of them being non-competitive situations, brought them in here with the thought that like this should help bolster the bench. Banton, for what it's worth, in 12 games in Portland, is averaging 14 points a game, shooting 37% from 3, where he shot 12% in his very limited action in Boston. 12%. It looked like he'd never shot before. And he goes there with a little bit of confidence. And again, no stakes, no risk. But 14 points on 37% shooting from 3. Okay. That's something.
I'm just no, hell no. Banton,
okay,
I thought got more opportunities than he deserved in Boston.
Okay, you got to start here.
I just don't think he's a good player.
Yeah,
I don't. Now Stevens is different because Stevens actually played and showed very specific skills that should be able to translate to any team. He just didn't play here. Like when he did play, he didn't totally suck. He just didn't play that much. Banton, when he played, he wasn't very good.
He was horrible. Stevens never really got a shot.
No, Stevens is the one that to me, that's the one guy that I feel did not get a shot here.
He got to play that game against Orlando.
I can't really understand why.
He got to play that game against Orlando where they had no centers because Luke got hurt in the warm-ups.
That was one of their better games. That was a really fun game.
Yeah, he played well.
The style they were forced to playing small ball all game long was an extremely fun game.
And
I was surprised by that.
He's such a rock.
Yeah, but he also again, he's in a wasteland right now. He's in Memphis, but again, just 22 minutes a game. Stevens, this is 48% field goals, 42% from 3, averaging 11.5 points a game. These are. Again, I know it's still the NBA. I know you're playing on a crap team, but it's still the NBA and you're doing it against actual other teams. So, given an opportunity to play, both of these guys look like they could play a little. Banton, far less so. Stevens, I didn't get it all.
They're both guys with chips on their shoulders because of what happened in Boston. So, it doesn't necessarily surprise me they're making the most of their opportunities, especially when you look at each situation that there isn't really a whole lot of people in front in terms of, or at least there isn't a whole lot of like, hey, the season's on the line here. If you can't cut it, we're going to pull you. And I think they feel bad because it was the complete opposite here in Boston. Whereas, you make 1 or 2 mistakes, you're getting pulled immediately. This is a team with championship aspirations. So I think that you take away that pressure and the feeling of, that you failed in the minimal opportunities you were giving here in Boston. And I think this is that result of that. And of course, these are guys that have been in the league for 2-3 years. They're not rookies here. So that you have to take that into account as well. But I also think that, when you look back on it, it was just really hard to gain Mazzulla's trust. And what I mean by that is guys that have obviously established themselves based off last season, continuing to this year, they've made strides in their progression. You got the top best 6 players compared to any other team's top best 6 players. So, you kind of get this tunnel vision in a sense, but also you have a short leash for guys like Stevens and for guys like Banton, and I think that, 3 months into the season, let's face it, Missoula made his decision in terms of guys he was going to play, guys who were going to crack the rotation, guys that may have a shot at cracking the rotation, but both of these guys were outside of that entire window, if you ask me.
I still don't understand why Stevens didn't get a legitimate shot to play. I still don't.
He didn't. You're right, Sherrod. He didn't.
You also didn't need to get rid of both these guys in the deals because you did it to keep a roster spot open. Doesn't seem like there's any intention in filling that spot right now. So
yeah, I guess my greater point on it was I get what everyone's saying in the chat, and we know, like, it obviously it makes sense. A team this good, if you're find yourself in that 9 through 12 slot, yeah, you're not going to play a lot, but staying ready almost guarantees you're not going to be ready. You know what I mean? And that's what we saw in limited action from Stevens and Banton. And I fear that's what you're getting out of Tillman here. So if you
I was just going to say,
I don't get the in and out thing. Just commit. If the guy's part of he's in the circle of trust or he's not. He's kind of in Brissett land right now. And if you can live with that, that's fine. If Joe is 100% certain, I'm telling you this, Bobby, and I'm being nice. I think Luke Cornett is going to have the quickest hook you've ever seen in your life in the playoffs.
Wow.
And I really do, because he's going to be terrifying in the playoffs. I think Pritchard's going to have a really quick hook in the playoffs too, because you're going to be worried that they're going to hunt him, and it's going to, it's
there needs to be a seventh man. Someone's got to be the seventh man.
There's no locked down seventh guy, and I guess it's Hauser. There's no
change.
Real date,
I was just gonna say Hauser, but it's gonna change. It varies, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but he's getting yanked around, so I don't know what the point is. None of us think Xavier Tillman is a savior, but all of us thought Stevens could have contributed. I think a lot of people did, and a lot of people think like Tillman could contribute. And
they're giving Tillman some shots here. Not a ton, but they've gone to a couple games. Dallas, the most recent one there, Denver, where Tillman's in over Cornett, and it's the situation we're talking about here. You get a rotation, you got to show something, and if you don't, you're kind of back in that no man's land of sitting on the bench behind everybody else who's in front of you. So it's a tough position to be in. Brissett, I think, has dealt with it really well this year. He was good again. That guy hasn't played rotation minutes since January, and he was really good again tonight. So some of these guys are staying ready. You hope Tillman can stay ready because he really is in that stay ready position, John. You're right. If there's a quick hook for Cornett, if there's a matchup that fits Tillman's style, he's going to have to be able to go in there and produce. And this is what we have some gripes about right now with the way they're using the rotation. Even a game like this where Tatum Brown, all these guys didn't really need to play. Like, could you have gotten Tillman some extended run, some reps in a game like this? Even if you lose the game, it's not the end of the world. He's got to be ready to actually play if he gets the opportunity. And then with this conversation we're having right here, if Tillman just sits on the bench the whole stretch run, I know he's signed next year, I believe, or, he'll be able to be retained fairly easily. I think he actually is up after this year. Was it worth 2 seconds to go get a guy who's just going to sit on the bench the whole way, even if he is insurance? It's the same conversation we had with Mike Muscala last year. Mm-hmm. So it's a small thing here, but I think they have to put him in position to actually be able to impact the team in the playoffs. Because the first 2 times he got out there, didn't really look like he was ready to impact the team.
Sure, it did. I think you're Tillman's had a couple of good runs here throughout. So I think you're misremembering a little bit, but
he can play. I mean,
I think the Dallas game he was solid. The Denver game wasn't great.
The Denver game was bad for a lot of guys. I can't use that one as the kind of the litmus test for whether he's ready to go or not.
Tatum was also bad that game. Should we sit him for the next 3 nights so he learns a lesson?
So where are you at on it?
I just don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the plan is. I can't quite figure it out.